Let me stop you right there. So you're thinking about tuning your 1.5 liter Ford Fusion with the SE logo on the back of it in the trim level known as SE or SEL with the 1.5 liter EcoBoost. That what you're thinking about doing? Look, let me stop you right there. Here's why. Roll the fucking clips. This is the only thing though, like the wrench will pop up. The wrench will pop up. I never drive around with this thing plugged in because I might actually touch something that might cause this thing to change its. Let me plug that stuff back in. That stuff is very important. I don't want it. If I go into fuel economy, the auto start stop feature has been programmed completely out of the engine. And oh my God, they're turning in front of me. They're turning. But yeah, it programs the auto start stop feature completely out of the engine. So it doesn't matter if you push the button or not. It's not, when you come to stop, the engine ain't shutting off. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to unplug that thing under the hood in my previous video that I did. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Malik EcoBoost back with a less than exciting YouTube video that I'm just going to basically be kind of cut and dry with. I'm going to go kind of talk about something that I've been going through for about the past month or so. As you're about to see, I only have one of my vehicles under my garage right now. The 2019 Ford Fusion is at the Ford dealership due to a failed drivetrain issue. If you have recently purchased, and you can tell by the title of this video, if you have recently purchased a 2018, 19, or any Ford Fusion SE with the engine size that is a 1.5 liter, I'm not going to necessarily say the 1.6 is as bad because that engine came straight out of a performance-oriented and designed vehicle such as the Fiesta ST. But the 1.5 liter engine is an engine that I have been extremely disappointed with since I bought that car. Now, you may think that there's not that much of a difference between the 1.5 and the 2.0, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you the 2.0 actually probably gets better gas mileage than the 1.5. The reason for that is because when you have more power and smaller displacement without having to strain for it, you don't have to dig down into the accelerator or feel the need to want to milk more power out of that engine. That is an engine that does have a turbocharger on it. It is turbocharged, but the turbocharger really doesn't serve a purpose on that car. That car is what you call a before 60 mile an hour power boost. If you feel me what I'm saying, what I mean by that is you can get off the line really quick until 60 miles an hour. That car will still go 0 to 60 in under 8 seconds for the engine size that is that size. That car is actually capable of sticking with that one, a nearly 20-year-old 6-cylinder 3.8 Mustang with a manual transmission. But what I do want to tell you is, under no circumstances, under any circumstances, would I recommend you to do any form of performance gaining, boost gaining, anything to that engine. Because in less than 3 months of me having that Livernois tune, I recently did a Livernois tune, and I was literally in the process of making a YouTube video on tuning the Fusion SE that I bought, that I recently also did a full 1 hour and 6 minute long video on, that has caused a lot of people to buy Ford Fusion SEs with that same engine. I'll flash it back to the stock tune programming. The stock tune actually takes a second, so I am going to speed up because it has 16 files it has to write versus the tunes that only have 3. So if I want to return this to stock, I hit return to stock, continue with stock file. You're about to see this car do a light show. Don't be alarmed. You're going to see stuff like that pop up. Service advanced track, low engine oil, engine cooling over temperature, all that stuff. Parkade. I'm going to speed this next part up. That same engine. I'm going to just go ahead and tell you now that the worst thing you can ever do is try to tune that motor. Now, from day one, this isn't something that happened over time. From day one, I should have drew the line and said, nope, I am not going to continue to run this tune on this car. But I did notice some significant, and as time went on, it got faster. Because the Livernois tune, you notice that the only person that makes tunes, like a handheld computer tuner that you don't have to leave plugged in, there's a difference between a pedal booster or a throttle booster and an actual ECU tune. This Livernois was an ECU tune, guys, and it was almost kind of the same idea like I had on my EcoBoost Mustang that I really never got to do a video on before I traded. You plug it in, you tune it, you've got 3 custom files. You've got a stock file that it saves, which is a direct replica or is the actual factory tune. Then you've got 87 octane performance tune, 89 performance tune, and then you've got 91 to 93 octane. Now, regardless of if you're tuning a newer vehicle with a turbo or not, you should always put 93 octane in it. But I ran the 93 tune all the time because that's all the type of tune, that's the only type of fuel I put in that car. Now, I will go ahead and tell you there's a few things that tune does for the 1.5. You get a shitload of down low power. I'm talking chirping the tires in and throughout second gear. Even with brand new tires on a dry day, you're gonna get that. You're gonna also get increased torque and lower temperature. I'm talking when it drops below 40 degrees, and then when you get more power when it drops below 30, bro, you feel like you have a Focus ST engine and a Fusion. However, the downside to that is the torque converter in the 1.5 Fusion and the transmission in the 1.5 Fusion is not designed to handle that type of power. You think, oh, it only gains 6. I think the car only gained, because the tune, if you go on there and you can actually find a dyno graph of a demo Fusion that they used, that they uploaded from 1.5 liter EcoBoost Fusion, and you can see the dyno graph, and it says that it takes the horsepower from like 148 to the wheels to 184, but the horsepower goes from like 168 to 246. So if it's putting that down at the wheels, you're getting over 200 horsepower at the crankshaft, or at the drivetrain, should I say, and you're getting close to 300 pound-feet of torque. Now, I really don't believe that vehicle's drivetrain and transmission was designed to handle that type of power. And I'm not through, Drew. I thought you knew. It also removes the vehicle's top speed governor. So me being the person I am, yes, I mean, and it's almost, when you tune a vehicle like this is what you call an auto learning tune. You're not actually going to feel that like significant amounts of a difference when you tune the car until you've been driving on that tune for about a week or two. So people say you shouldn't drive around in the tune all the time. Well, you have to drive around for at least a week for the tune to even actually be relevant, and for it to actually learn, you know, the temperature of the air, the humidity in the air, the engine, you know what I'm saying? It has to learn that, because it actually will progressively continue to get faster for a week until it gets to its fastest point. And once it learns that, you know how those EcoBoosts do when you put your foot down and then you get that pause, and once you get past half throttle, it just, you know what I'm saying? That's what those EcoBoosts do. And the Fusion 1.5 does not do that at all. Like, I'm talking like it goes from accelerating to just thrusting you in the seat. Like, that's what the EcoBoosts do. It's kind of like you feel that torque. Like, you really do feel that torque. Like, you know, okay, yeah, this motherfucker's got some torque now. And especially when you're trying to pass somebody on the interstate, that damn thing will shoot past them, and it's lightweight. The car doesn't even weigh for it. It weighs like 3,800 pounds. So there is a significant difference in the power gains of that 1.5. You're not going to be accelerating like a V6 though. But it's like you put your foot down a quarter throttle and you cannot keep your foot on the accelerator on the interstate. If you, like, the gas pedal may travel this far, but if you just keep it like right there, I'm talking like just the weight of your shoe, you're going to keep accelerating. However, the downside to that, this is what I this is what the title of this video is going to come into play. The reason you don't want to tune it, and maybe it's just mine or maybe it's just Livernois in general, but you notice how vehicles that are actually meant to be tuned have tuners from Cobb, Livernois, VMP Perform, all that stuff. I'm talking like the Mustang is a car that has a broad tuning world. A Fusion is not that car. It's difference between them snatching the engine out of a Focus ST and putting it in the Fusion Titanium, or the SE Fusion with the 2.0. You can tune the SE Fusion, you just can't tune the SE Fusion with the 1.5 or the SEL with the 1.5. And if you'll notice, I don't even think Lincoln even puts the 1.5 in any of their vehicles. Why? Because that is a disposable drivetrain. That is a disposable engine. Like, that engine is so fucking shitty. I'm talking when it idles, it, and you can see the pipes on the engine just vibrating. You can see the tubes and the coolant lines and the wires just vibrating. And I'm like, you can be sitting there. Now it is completely shut down. So yeah. And they also put that engine in the Ford Escape, if I'm not mistaken. So what I want to say is do not tune that car, because I'm going to send you the nearly 300, or it might be 350. I've got over 200 and something vehicle alerts on Ford Pass from that car since the day I tuned it, only about 3 months ago. The first error that it threw on day one, within the first hour, was a wrench light. You know what the wrench light means? The wrench light means there's a powertrain fault, or there's a fault in the drivetrain or something. The torque converter solenoid is open, meaning the torque converter read the level of torque that damn engine was throwing out off that tune, and it saw it as an error. It saw too much. It's like it saw too much torque. The torque converter was like, these cars have these sensors that's like, there's difference between them sensing the amount of torque that they want it to have and it producing too much torque, but it can handle it. And then there's a difference between when the torque converter is sensing it's on the limits of the amount of torque that it's designed to handle. It was on the second one. It was sensing the amount of torque that the vehicle could handle. And probably 48 hours later, the engine light came on. Now the wrench light, see, the difference is that tuner from Livernois is programmed to wipe out that wrench code every time you turn that vehicle on and off, so that you think that there's nothing wrong with it. So every time you get in the car, the wrench light goes away because you turn the engine off with the push button, and then you started it back the next time you got in the car. So there's no wrench light, but the engine light stays. So now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with the engine. The engine still goes. Like, the thing about it is, Ford makes those EcoBoost engines pretty much bulletproof for the most part. But it's be things like the drivetrain, the axles, the transmission, the torque converter, that type of shit, that can't handle that type of power. Now, if you'll notice, you can go out here and get a 1.5 or 1.6 from just about any other manufacturer, and it will be putting out the same horsepower without a turbo. Now, without a turbocharger, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just say you go find a naturally aspirated 2.0 or 1.8 from Toyota or Honda. That thing's putting out 160 horsepower or 190 horsepower, nearly 200 horsepower without a turbo. So the turbo is dialed down and restricted and governed. If you look at the charge pipes, they're like this little. I'm talking, they're like that freaking little on that 1.5. So I just want to make it known to you that once I post these screenshots, I might throw a couple of videos in here of the code that was being thrown while I was tuning the car. Now, when you tune those cars, it's going to throw the codes, but after you tune it, those codes shouldn't stick. And I also want to add to that, Livernois tune, do not tune with Livernois on these Fusions, bro. Like, if you're going to tune a Fusion Sport, okay, that's a 2.7 liter twin turbocharged V6. That car is designed to handle 400 or 500 horsepower. I mean, that same engine is put in the Edge ST. Anytime a manufacturer takes one engine and they put it in multiple vehicles, that engine has been tried and tested to be able to handle its type of power and its application, because a Ford Fusion is not as heavy as a Ford Edge. A Ford or Lincoln MKZ is not as heavy as a four-wheel drive Explorer. They use that same 3.0 in the MKZ, the Continental, the Aviator, and the Explorer. The 3.5 is used, and it used to be in the Explorer. They used it in the Taurus SHO and the Police Interceptors. Now, if you know that they're using that in the, and you know how hard police drive, you know how hard they drive and how long they drive and how long those engines sit there and run. That 3.5 is damn near bulletproof. That's a whole different story. But a 1.5, don't fuck around with that 1.5. Like, if you want more power, please, I am begging you to upgrade to the 2.0. If you want more power, do the 2.0. Find a Fusion Sport twin turbo all-wheel drive. If power is your concern, and if you what's gonna happen is you're gonna be like, it's an illusion. Now the salesman is gonna tell you the 1.5 is a good engine until you get to about 70,000, 50,000 miles. And that engine's gonna start giving you issues like heat seal issues and gasket issues and shit like that. And you are gonna be wondering why you even spent, like, the 1.5 is like a trash engine. It's just disposable. It does not run smooth. And then they put that damn auto start stop mess on it. When that thing fires back up, it vibrates the hell out of the damn car. I had to disable that crap because, like, that's how you wear an engine out. That makes it worse than it already is. So my best advice to you is do not get the 1.5 SC. Do not get the 1.5 SC. The Ford Escapes. Find the 2.0. You need to ask these people when you go and buy the Ford Escapes, the Ford Fusions, and I think that's the only two. Well, I mean, they didn't discontinue the Fusion anyway. So when you go buy Ford, and same thing with the Ford Escape, bro. Why in the world would you put an engine like that in a crossover or an SUV? You might as well call the Escape an SUV. Granted, that thing probably weighs the same amount as the damn Fusion, but it's the idea. This is a, and then they make it four-wheel drive. I'm like, why would you put such a small engine in something that's for, like, that is unheard of. Like, oh my God. Like, and then people are gonna want more power out of that thing. Hell, they don't even put the, and you notice how once you get under 2 liters, the tuning for an engine gets very much restricted. Like, you don't see Cobb tuning fucking around with that damn 1.5. It's only Livernois, because Cobb knows that their maps and programs are going to destroy that engine and its drivetrain. So you kind of have to, it's almost like you kind of, who is just flying past my house? Sitting there looking around and going on. But anyway, you really have to be careful with these 1.5s, bro. Like, I've never been so disgusted in my life in an engine and a car, you know what I'm saying? And it just, it's like, it ain't, I can understand if a year or two later, we're talking less than 3-4 months later, and I don't even drive the car every day. And I don't even drive the car as hard as I used to would drive a car, because it's a Ford Fusion. I'm talking regular acceleration, regular interstate speeds of between 80 and 90 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? We're talking Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia traffic, and back and forth between the two. We're talking that type of stuff. I also want to add that it wouldn't throw that code until you had been driving at a constant speed for a certain amount of time. So if you're driving, and another thing too, that is more like a boost by gear setup on the Livernois. So let me turn this light on. The boost by gear means you don't have to downshift. The transmission does not have to drop a gear in order for it to accelerate. Like, you can put your foot down and it didn't matter what gear it was in. I could be in 5th gear and I would still feel it go. You know what I'm saying? Without dropping gears though. You know what I'm saying? That's what a turbocharger does. Like, a turbocharger is boosting this engine, and what happens is you actually get more torque and more horsepower when you have a boost by gear setup. Because I remember my EcoBoost Mustang, and it was a stick shift, so it had no choice but to pull the gear that I put it in, because it was a stick shift. Now, if you floor it in 1st gear, you didn't feel it that hard, but you get in 1st gear. Like, normally I would be in 2nd gear to do a 40 roll, but after I tuned it, I would put it in 3rd, and you wouldn't get that. You would get more like a, You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like it would, anybody that knew me back then, that thing would like, then it also minimizes the turbo lag. Turbo lag is something you can never get rid of. You can never not have turbo lag, but you can minimize it. However, on a boost by gear setup, you're on the interstate doing 80 miles an hour and you just slightly touch the accelerator and it would just go. The Fusion would just go, the 1.5. And I'm just like, you look down and the speedometer is literally doing this. And you're still in 6th gear, which is as high as it has, and you're just going on, carrying on. But what hurts is that torque converter is not used to seeing that. It's not designed. I'm not going to say it's not used. It is not even designed to handle the nearly 300 pound-feet of torque that thing is seeing. People have a misconception when they say the 2.0 and the 1.5 have the same engine and transmission. No, they do not. The 1.5 has a weaker torque converter. The 2.0 has a stronger torque converter because the 2.0 Fusion puts out, and hear me out when I say this, the 2.0 Ford Fusion EcoBoost Titanium and SE, that engine makes more torque than the Focus ST. At 275 pound-feet of torque, it only makes 5 less horsepower than the Focus ST. So if you put a Focus ST stock and a Fusion Titanium EcoBoost all-wheel drive stock next to a Focus ST, guess who's coming out in front? The Fusion. Now the Focus ST is a performance-derived engine with the 2.0. So they took that engine and they put it in the Fusion. They also put that in the MKZ. And the, what is that thing called? The Lincoln version of the Escape. Not Corsair. Lincoln Corsair. Yeah, the Corsair. They also put it in the Escape. That engine is very versatile. They also put it in the Taurus at one point in time when they still made it. So that engine is in the Taurus, the Fusion, the Focus. That's 3 right there. The Escape, the MKZ, it was one more, and the Corsair, which used to be the MKC, or was it? I don't know what it is, but I just know that engine has a history of being a very good engine, and it is very tunable and it is very strong. It's the same thing like the 2.3. They use that in the Mustang. They use it also in the Lincoln Corsair. And I think they use it in the they use it in the Explorer. They've been using the Explorer since the previous generation and previous body. So that engine has also been proven to be damn near bulletproof. So if you're going to get power out of the Fusion, and if you're thinking about getting a Fusion, okay, if you already have the 1.5 and you're thinking you want more power, save your money, please. Save your dollars and trade it to the 2.0. Do not, under any circumstances, tune the 1.5. And if you do not use Livernois. Now, I'm going to play these videos, or I ain't going to say play these videos, but I'm going to show y'all these screenshots of these 200 and something error codes on my Ford Pass. And I think that ought to say enough for you to not go out here and tune that damn thing. If you do tune it, make sure you have another means of transportation, because it's going to sneak up on you. You're going to be sitting at a red light, you're going to put your foot on the gas, and it ain't going to go nowhere. So,